Yeah, we're live now.
Okay, so everybody, welcome to the first Billiard Network Moscone Cup Talks podcast, which is coming to you on the eve of the 27th, 6th Moscone Cup. And we've got a fabulous array of guests we have every night, but this week we've got my co-host Darren Appleton, Hall of Famer, 7-time Moscone Cup winner. We have Johan Ruysink, who turned captaincy in the Moscone Cup into, well, a science, I guess. And Mr. Raj Hundal, a UK pool legend, represents India as well. And none other than Mr. Johnny Archer, Hall of Famer, player of the decade, played in more Moscone Cups than they've ever been. So welcome, gentlemen. And so just to get us going, earlier today, I had a conversation with Emily Fraser of Matchroom Sport to talk about the preparations, the differences between what it's going to be like this year and what it's been in previous years, obviously, because the predominant one of those is there's no crowd. But so we're going to look at that first, yeah?
Oh, good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. Yeah,
Just over.
Yeah, we're doing our first one tonight, and we're going to just do like 15 minutes with you, and then drop it in at the beginning of our show, which has got, we've got 3 different guests every night. But so I'm going to start. Cool. Yeah, we've got sort of Dennis Hatch, Johnny Archer, Rodney Morris, Ralph Souquet, Kelly Fisher, Nigel Rees. You know, we dragged them out from everywhere.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Yeah. So,
love it.
We're going to. I've just got a little list of questions here, which I'm going to put to you. But anyway, so the first one is like just the real obvious one, Emily, is what's it going to be like without any crowd? Because obviously the crowd's been a massive part of the event over the years, and that's part of its attraction, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it's obviously a decision between do we do the event or have it without a crowd, and obviously we wanted to get the event cracking, and if we had to do it behind closed doors, you know, we were full steam ahead with it. I think we're just doing everything we possibly can to make sure that it's atmospheric for the viewers at home, but also for the players in the arena. The one thing that we've learned just from doing our Weber Cup, the snooker, is that it can be so dead in that arena, and it's hard for the players because they've got to get pumped up. They're the ones that have been so used to the crowd and the fans cheering them on and giving that, that fire and passion. So we've just got a few things that's going into the program that we've taken a little bit of what works at darts, a little bit of works at boxing, what's worked at the snooker, and just trying to find what's going to work for the Moscone. We're obviously going to see how it goes tonight. And if we need to make some improvements or make some changes, then we'll adapt and we'll try and reset it for day 2. So we're a little bit unsure as to how it's going to go, but I'm quite confident that we've got the right mixture of things to make it right for the viewers at home.
Does obviously in sports like football they play crowd noises, but that's just for the benefit of TV viewers. Are you proposing to have some atmospheric noise within the arena?
Yeah, one thing that we learned from the Weber Cup is that we were doing everything for the viewers at home. And first match when we went out there, we were kind of in the arena and it felt horrible for the players. And so we learned that from there and realized that, you know, there's 2 sets of people that we need to be thinking about. So possibly playing things into the arena for the players. But I do also think that for listening to what the players have been saying leading up to the event of how there's actually more pressure because you can hear any sort of pin drop in the arena. I don't want to ruin that by putting crowd noise into there the entire time, because I think it will just destroy how the Moscone Cup is, because it's never been a constant crowd noise like the darts has as such. No. There's always like a silent feel to it. So we would like to bring music in so the players have something in between the racks. We're trying to encourage obviously the teams to talk to the players in between the games as well, and in between the racks to try and keep the atmosphere there. But I mean, listening to how the press conference was and how it's been up here with the 2 teams, it's super tense at the moment between both camps. And I don't want to ruin that because it is quiet in there, and I think it's going to be even more intense. And I think viewers at home are actually going to get more of a feel of the intensity between the two teams because the crowd noise is effectively gone. So I think it's going to be different, but I think people are going to really enjoy it.
Are you putting the non-playing players' seats within the arena or outside of the arena?
In the arena, but outside of the set.
Okay.
So they'll be there, but not in the playing field as you can sort of imagine.
Yeah, I can see what you mean. Yeah. So go on. Who do you think is going to win this year? Because it's obviously USA have won twice, so the momentum's with them. But obviously Europe have got an incredibly strong team.
Every time I think about it, my opinion changes on it. But it's weird being. I think if you can imagine it, where we're kind of set up at the moment is I've got Team USA that's here on my left and Team Europe on my right. And you can hear the two practice rooms. So obviously the last 3 days that we've been here for the build, you can hear what's going on in the two camps. It's obviously a lot more serious in Team Europe. Team USA just have this kind of vibe that I think really works for them and that is at their advantage that just Team Europe don't have.
They look more laid back, the Americans. They look more laid back than the Europeans.
They are very chilled out, which I think works in their favor, but not chilled out in a way that they think they're going to win easy.
Right, yeah.
They know they've got a tough match on their hand. They all they keep saying is that Team Europe's lineup is super strong. They've got such stacked players in that team. So they know it's not like they're turning up and going, we're going to win this third time. They might be doing that for the cameras or something, but they're not thinking like that. They are very much, they know they've got a tough battle on their hands, but they just keep going, look, we just got to play what we do, we just got to do what we do, and go out there. Whereas I think Team Europe are super, super strong on paper as well. And that's what everyone keeps saying, but they're just, from sitting back and seeing it all, they do miss something that Team USA have. But then on the other hand, I feel like there's a real strong sense between Alex and Carl. I feel like they've got the lineup sort of really sorted. They've thought about all of that. Yeah. And there's something in Alex, this determination for this year. I don't know. You could get something totally different out of me tonight when it goes. You look at the lineups. It can go 3-2 either way.
Yeah, I think, or worse either way. I mean, it's anything can happen, I guess. But the other thing is that generally in the Moscone Cup, there's always players that play really well, and generally they're contenders for MVP. But there's also players, sometimes the very best players, who kind of flop. Is there any prediction from you as to which players you think are going to really excel and which players might hit a brick wall at some point?
Probably get hated for saying it, but I do think that someone like Fedor may have a tough time out there.
Okay.
I have huge respect for him as a player, but the last time I saw him play was obviously at the World Championship, and I was there myself, and the atmosphere that you have to play in a tournament like that is just nothing. No, there wasn't an atmosphere. So that's what I'm kind of thinking on that side of things. But then he could go the total other way because there isn't a crowd there. I do think someone like Chris, I don't think he's going to. He hasn't had a sense of what the Matchroom Arena feels like. But then I think that's where Team USA are good, because I think they're going to be pumping him up. The only thing that worries me is that you see a lack of, being careful what I say because the players walk past, but a lack of confidence from Corey, perhaps.
Yeah, I think with Chris, I mean, he's probably the player with the absolute least pressure on him in terms of expectation. And that kind of worked for Tyler Steyer a couple of years ago, didn't it? That mindset, I think.
Yeah, and I do think someone like listening to the press conference last night, Jason Shaw's obviously super pumped up. I think there's so much intensity there that there's a lot of pressure probably on his shoulders, and I don't care what he says.
No.
I think he's very affected by the crowd.
Well, I mean, I always felt the crowd affected him in a negative way because he was so sort of amped up. He was almost out of control sometimes, wasn't he, with his emotions?
Yeah, but then I feel like if he was behind, it'd be the crowd that would pull him back in.
Right, okay, yeah, I get that.
So I think you're going to see someone like Skylar like just excel, because he just keeps saying he just loves the pressure. Like that's what he kept saying to me. He was like, I love the pressure. I want to be out there playing the pressure matches. I think Albin's going to excel as well. You might see someone like Kachi come in and actually sort of dominate a little bit. I just keep thinking maybe like Fedor, but I feel bad saying it because I've sort of said that the whole run up.
Well, you know, you could be nicely proved wrong, couldn't you? So
yeah, well, he came up the last time I saw him at one of our events was the Whirlpool Masters, and he didn't do very well. You know, in that event, in that arena, there's hardly any crowd at the Whirlpool Masters as well, so it's probably something that's similar to here. So I'm just going off of what I've seen a little bit and how I think they're going to react to the arenas. I've been down in the arena the last 3 days watching it build, and you're seeing how open it is, and it is literally, there's no seating there, and it is such a weird vibe. But the way that the match is, it's just cameras, lights everywhere, so the intensity hasn't been taken away at all.
Is it the same room that the Champ of Champs was in, or is it another one? Yes,
it's the exact same room as the Champion of Champions, but you probably will look around and it won't feel like that at all.
Yeah, you know, one thing we had a bit of an interesting discussion. We were looking at the European rankings, you know, looking at future Mosconis, and this year there's 2 Eastern Europeans in the side, i.e. Fedor and Clenty. And when you look at the rankings, it seems to be the dominant area coming up. So, you know, you might find that there's in a few Moscone Cups times, the dominant players in Europe will be from Eastern Europe. And the countries like the UK, it seems to be trailing off, doesn't it? In terms, had a really long spell of about 10-15 years where it was dominant. What do you feel about that? I mean, it's like a geographical shift in some respects.
Yeah, and I think we noticed it a little bit on the World Cup for the last couple of years, because on the World Cup we've always invited, you know, England, Scotland, and it's got to the point where the play over here in the UK, and the players that are coming through, there aren't really any. You've got the likes, obviously, Jason Shaw, who's made it onto the team, and with him living in the US, he's playing all of those tournaments, and it's obviously tougher for him to come over to Europe and to be playing these other European events. But pre-COVID hit, I know that Jason obviously expressed after winning like the International Open that he was going to play in all of the Euro tours to obviously try and get onto the Moscone Cup. So I think that you need players like him, obviously from the UK, that is willing to play from everywhere. But yeah, there's no players coming through from here, and I think you're right. I think that it's going to be coming over from sort of Eastern European, and I don't really know what to do over here in the UK to try and obviously expand or
it's difficult
to get more players in. Hopefully a female player comes through the ranks from the UK.
Anything's possible, but most of the dominant female players, as you've seen, are from the Far East, aren't they, and Eastern Europe. But
yeah, Alison Fisher did say she might make a comeback, but she's technically from the US.
You got a US passport?
Yeah.
Oh well, that's her out then, isn't it? But, what about Kelly? She's one of our guests.
Yeah.
Look forward to. Okay, well that's been really good talking to you, Emily, getting some insight into what's happening and what's going to be happening. We're all going to be glued to it tonight, and if you get 5 minutes, you can tune into our podcast at 4:45 every day. Yeah.
Okay, I'll probably tune in tonight after we've come off air.
Okay, yeah.
Or I'll be crying in the corner somewhere because it's all gone to shit.
No,
but I'm sure it hasn't.
I'm sure it won't happen. All right, thanks for coming on. Yeah.
All right, thanks. Guys.
Maybe try and speak to you another time after the event. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Sounds good.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Let's start. It's quite easy this because I've got all these squares, so I can just go down. So let me start with you, Darren. Are you looking forward? How much are you looking forward to this year's event?
Yeah, looking forward to it a lot. I think we're like starving to watch a bit of live pool, let's say. I mean, real pool, not a virtual pool, what we've been used to the last 9 months. Watching someone run a rack in their pool room, it's a little bit boring, really. So to watch like that live game, one-on-one, obviously the Moscone Cup's very special, and there was a lot of doubts whether it would go ahead this year. So just to get the event to go ahead is massive. So we've got to take our hats off to Matchroom and Emily Fraser and the team really for making it happen.
Yeah, I agree. It was. I mean, she said they had a choice of either not doing it or doing it in different circumstances, and I think they definitely made the right decision there. What about you, Johan? Are you keen to see how your next in line, Jeremy Jones, fares?
Yeah, of course. But let me be so cheeky to say hello to all my friends around the world, especially in Europe, America, Philadelphia, and especially in Russia and Iran, two regions that were really hit hard by the COVID. So I wish everybody is healthy there and still strong. So that's to start off with. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what comes after all these years of Moscone Cup. It's probably one of the first times that I'm just sitting around and just can watch, right? Which is quite a unique experience. But I'm excited to see some real pool after all this time. Yeah.
Good. And Raj, you're a keen student of the game, and you know the players. You know what it's like. You've been there. What are your thoughts?
Truthfully, I could have waited a bit longer and just wait to see a crowd, because it's not what makes the Moscone Cup different from any other event is the people sitting on the seats and making that noise and the heat and the I mean, ask Darren. I mean, it takes a different kind of heart to get up there and play. I've been lucky to play in one Moscone Cup, and I tell you what, there's no event like it in that sense. It's got nothing to do with money. I mean, first of all, there ain't much money there, but let's just say it's got nothing to do with that. It's a team thing. Like you're winning. You're not even winning for yourself. You want to win so you could go back and look at your team and say, hey man, that's for you guys. It's a beautiful event, and I just think a lot of the magic is missing without the audience being there. So for me, I like, and look, the new kid, what's his name? Chris. I know he's a great player too, but I kind of want to see him play when there's 2,000 people jumping up and down, and see if you can handle that. Because I know he's going to play great now. He's in a proper, dialed-in, professional, super practice session with a ton of heat, but it's nowhere near the heat that should be there. So, me, I could have waited personally, but I'm still looking forward to watching these guys play and see if they can hold their own.
Yeah. And Johnny, you're a man who withstood the heat of the York Hall on many an occasion. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I have to agree with. I definitely have to agree with Johan and Raj. I mean, hats off to Matchroom is to get the event going, do it, and still able to pay the money that they normally do, because I know it just costs a lot to put it together. But I do agree with Raj for sure. I mean, the fans is what makes the Moscone Cup, and you know, it's like he said. You know, you're going into the heat of battle out there. You're going basically into a lion's den, and I'm kind of anxious to see how the guys are. I do think you're going to see less pressure on the guys, especially the new guys like Fedor or you know, Chris Robinson. And you know, I know Jason Shaw touched on it last night. I watched the press conference, and he said that you know, he believes that he's going to get to play his own game because you know, he won't be engaging in the crowd and no distractions and stuff like that. But to me, I'm like Raj. I'm going to miss the fans being there, you know, and just experiencing that part of it. And I think it's with Chris and Fedor, it being the first times, you know, I know it's going to be missing a little bit of that, but it's still going to be a lot of pressure out there with the teams and playing for your country. So it's going to be interesting. But I kind of agree with both the guys.
Yeah.
Johnny, which players do you think it will benefit with no crowd, and which players do you think it's going to be against them not having a crowd there? Do you think there's certain players going to suit?
It for sure will. My guess is it's definitely going to benefit Chris. Him being his first time, benefit with no crowd. I think, you know, like you said, it's going to kind of be, you know, playing in his pool room, you know, a little bit far as just the atmosphere. Yes, the TV cameras around, you have the referee, you have the shot clock, you have the flag waving and the teammates behind you. But as far as the atmosphere itself, it's not going to be much different than a pool room. You know, so as far as Chris, I think that I actually think it's going to benefit Jason a little bit, just because Jason's so emotional. He's so emotional. He wears his heart on his sleeve, and he gets so pumped up with everything that it could cause a distraction with him by getting so emotional, getting so pumped up. It usually will work for you or against you, you know, either way it goes. So I think this is going to help him. You know, I think it's going to hurt guys like Shane, just because I believe that, you know, Shane is so used to it and he gets very emotional himself, but he keeps it together, you know, while he's out there playing. So I believe the feeding off of the crowd, the adrenaline and everything, that was the one thing I always fed off of, you know, because if I was tired, usually the adrenaline would get you through with the crowd and whether they're for you or against you. So I think a few guys, it's going to be anxious to watch. I mean, we could be all wrong. You never know. So let's watch it and enjoy.
Yeah, I think personally, I think there's like it's a different pressure. Like when I played this ghost pull, it's like a different pressure because, you know, there's a lot of people watching, but you're thinking, well, they're waiting for me to dog it. So it's a different mindset, you know what I mean? It's not like having that atmosphere where you're not even thinking about the television cameras. When I played in the Moscone Cup, I've never even seen a camera, where I think now you're going to be more conscious of the cameras because you know there's millions watching at home because there's nobody in the crowd. So I think it might be a weird pressure where they might dog it just for that reason. What do you think, Johan?
Well, it can go either way, right? So some of them actually thrive because the pressure and the audience. Some people will calm them down and they will not have as much nerves. So either way, it can. I expect a little bit of higher level of play because there's less interference from the audience and less interaction. So everybody's more focused. So I think the level of play will be a bit higher. And one thing about Federer, I mean, Federer is a new kid, but you know he's the world champion, so he's used to pressure. So don't worry about him.
Yeah, I think like Raj, I think we've watched a lot of snooker during the lockdown, and I have noticed that the level at snooker has been a lot better. What do you think of that, Raj? Do you think that's something to look into?
Darren, I'm just going to interrupt you now. I think we've got that piece of film with Emily Fraser from earlier today, which we're going to play out now. Yeah, then we can talk about what she said.
Yeah.
Well, good, thank you. How are you? Yeah, not bad.
No sound again.
No sound.
No sound.
All right. So I have sound here. I don't know what's happening.
No. Okay, we're going to have to wait for another time to watch that. I think we've exhausted the.
Yeah, maybe try it tomorrow.
Technical.
I can wait. It's not.
So sorry, Darren. Go back to your question to Raj.
Yeah, I just think with watching snooker, I've been watching a lot of snooker this year, more than what I've ever watched, and I just think the levels improve with the snooker because they're just so focused on playing. And I think Raj is a big snooker fan also, so I'm just thinking whether there's anything in watching snooker thinking it's going to be the same for pool.
Yeah, but see,
the level will be a lot better.
You're right, but which level? I'm talking about the lower end of guys, because they feel real comfortable now all of a sudden. Yeah. So their level comes up, but I tell you this, Ronnie O'Sullivan's level's dropped. He needs the fans.
I agree with Michael Van Gerwen for the darts as well. I think Gerwin's levels dropped at darts also because there's no fans.
100%. But here's the thing: sport is the closest thing we have to getting in the Coliseum like gladiators. You know what I mean? We need that heat. I'm sorry, no disrespect to anyone, but everybody plays great in practice. You know, there's you and me know certain UK players. The minute they get on TV, they're gonna fold like a cheap tent every time. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the same with a lot of sports, isn't it?
Yeah, in a lot of sports, but then you got certain guys that will
for sure.
play a little bit better once the TV comes on. I know those guys too. So it's the nature of the sport. It is that you need fans, you need the heat, you need people moving and making noise. And what really what I respect the most is when I see a player perform under that pressure, and then I think, wow, I think, yeah, something, definitely something.
I've noticed it with Tiger Woods also with the golf. He's just not the same player without that big gallery. You know what I mean?
No, and Roger the same too. Yeah, Roger played tennis.
And I think I think it might be the same with Joshua Filler.
It might be. It might, and I think Jason. I know you guys are saying Jason might work good for it. But I'll tell you something about Jason. There's certain times he loves that pressure and he needs that to get up and really get that extra gear that he's got to come out. Sometimes he needs that, all that glitz and glamour around him. Like he thrives off of that, I believe. And Filler, you're 100% right. He's such a talent. I think when they really put the gun to his head, you get the best out of him. And
in my opinion, in this generation, is definitely the best pressure player I've seen.
Oh yeah, by far.
I definitely I have to agree. I'm sorry, Luke, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Johnny. Yeah.
Well, no, what I was gonna agree with the guys. I think that the one thing I want to be interested in watching here is the fans. I mean, the fans that watch the Moscone Cup, whether they're there or whether they're watching online. I think the atmosphere and the screaming and the yelling and the guys getting at each other, digging and stuff like that. I think that's what feeds the fans also. So I think there's going to be a lot of fans that's watching that really only watches so they can see the atmosphere and so they can kind of try to live through it. And I just believe that it's going to be, like I say, it's going to be interesting. I really believe that the commentators are going to play a huge part of this. Because if the commentators, I mean, of course, we miss the old days with Sid Waddell. I mean, Sid Waddell was unbelievable. He didn't know everything about pool, but I tell you what, if you didn't watch Sid Waddell and enjoy it, there was something wrong with you. I mean, really, I just love to listen to him, just to hear some of the goofy stuff he said. But he was awesome, and he made it so exciting for everybody else that was watching. And I think the commentators are going to play a big part. They need to really be extra emotional or extra, loud to really kind of cheeky, like Johan said, kind of be kind of cheeky with everything. And, that's going to play a big part because, no matter what, you want the fans to enjoy it. That's why they're bringing it to everybody. They want them to enjoy it. So it's going to be interesting. I'm kind of anxious to see it myself.
Yeah, I do think that part of the success of the Moscone Cup, as you say, Johnny, has been, the atmosphere and the crowd and people tuning on TV. A bit like the darts, darts is in the end it's two guys throwing at a ball, but when you get 10,000 people around it, it's something different completely. And I think that's part of its success. But I guess, as they say, it is what it is this year. And
that's right.
And it's we've talked about what impact it's going to have on certain players. And I think you were right about Jason Shaw. It might help him considerably because sometimes he looks a little bit amped up, doesn't he, in front of that crowd. And other guys someone like Robinson, he's got no pressure on him because nobody thinks he's probably going to do that well. And then he's got no crowd as well. So he's, he could be a surprise package in this event. Any other thoughts on Chris Robinson as a debutant?
Yeah, I'm very surprised with the slating he's got. Really, I think he's actually a really good player. I like his fundamentals. I think he's got a really good stroke for the TV table because you haven't got to hit the ball hard. You've got to be compact. And I think he's a good, solid player. And judging on last year, I mean, Johan was a captain, but I mean, Tyler Styler did really well in 2018, but he really struggled last year in the Moscone Cup with what I saw. So I think it's a pretty good replacement. And I even think Corey might do well because there's no crowd.
Yeah.
What do you think, Johan?
Oh, probably, yeah, definitely agree with Corey. I mean, that will definitely benefit him. He will be more relaxed and play probably better, can use his experience more. Well, about Chris, I mean, you know, funny thing is a lot of people have asked me this question, but at the moment last year where I wasn't hired as a captain, I became one of the 20 million people that just loves the Moscone Cup and is not a coach anymore. So there's no, you know, it doesn't matter what I think. It's a new generation, a new coach, and people, generations shift. There's new people coming in. It wouldn't have been my choice at this moment. I mean, obviously Chris has some potential, and you know, again, it's just a shame for a guy like Chris when he enters the Moscone Cup first time that he has to do it like this, right? Same with Federer, you know, getting the experience of this. I mean, I've always told my kids at home when they hadn't been to the Moscone Cup, it's 10 times louder in the arena than on the television or on the internet. And so when they came over, they said, yeah, it's absolutely crazy, the shouting. So, you know, they're going to miss this atmosphere and they're going to miss this experience, which is a shame for these guys, to be honest. But I mean,
yeah,
we'll see.
I have friends who are not really into pool who have been to the Moscone Cup and they still go to the Moscone Cup even if I'm not playing, just because it's just such it's such a great part in the atmosphere. It's a little bit like the darts, you know what I mean? It's just an amazing night out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like sorry, Johnny, go ahead.
No, I just say it. Okay.
No, I was just going to ask Darren, are those his hooligan friends? Because I think I bumped into them before. Is that the same crew you're on?
Yeah, that was Earl that was getting on the hooligan friends. I think Earl was the one that was.
Yeah,
brought them the year Earl was there.
That was 2005, right?
Yeah.
That's the year that you played. That was in London?
No, Vegas.
Oh, Vegas.
I played it. I got to play in Vegas, so that was a nice touch. I think me and Earl were going to box around at some point. And I'll tell you a funny story. I got in trouble after. Luke was there, and I got pulled in the office. And no word of a lie, Barry Hearn said, if you're going to punch him, you better make sure you do it on TV. That's true story. I was Luke, he said, yeah, it's a true story. He goes, if you can hit him with the 1-2, son, it better be in that arena. We need the ratings going up.
I remember Earl saying, the all of London sucks.
Oh, my God. But then when he landed,
I tell you what,
he landed in London. I love Earl Strickland. He's a legend.
He had to go and do that year, Johnny, as well.
Well, I tell you what, when we was playing with Mike Davis one year in London, and it was a year that Mike was playing.
That was Rotterdam.
Earl, Rotterdam, yeah. And Earl was a little extra this year. He was really right in the practice room. He was tough to be around. He looked around. He had Mike Davis and John Smith. So he looked around, and I'll never forget, Mike Davis was in the practice room, and Earl comes in the first day, and we're all practicing for a couple hours, kind of get ready. And Earl looked over at Mike Davis. He said, "What are you doing in this room?" And Mike Davis said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "I'm playing." He said, "You're playing what?" And Mike Davis said, "I'm on the team." He said, "You're on the American team? How the hell did you get there?" Oh my God. And, oh man, I said, "Oh Lord, here it goes." And then so after a couple of days, Mike Davis come up to me and he says, "Johnny, I got to add," I was the captain. He said, "Johnny, can I ask you a favor?" And I said, "Okay, yeah, whatever you need." He says, "I really think that we can do better. We're not doing too good right now. I think we were losing." He said, "I think we can do better." He said, "If I hit Earl in the practice room," and he said, "I need Earl," and he's just as serious as he could be. I said, "Mike, come on now. We don't need, no. We can't do that." He says, "No, I really think the team needs this." And he says, "I think I'm the only one that needs to do it here in the room." And so that was a few years. We had so not only did you guys almost go to blows, his own team did. So that was pretty good.
2006, Johnny?
I think it was 2006. It was Rotterdam. Yeah, that's
when you
what
draw. It was a draw, right?
In fairness to Mike Davis, he did on the final night when USA were behind. He played a fantastic match to come from behind and win and set them up for
the famous Mika.
Oh gosh.
That's
not bad, huh? Oh, that was a bad one.
The eight. I think it was the 8 ball to get to the 7 and 9 ball.
7 to 8. No, 8 to 9. You're right.
8 to the 9.
To bump the 9 on the rail.
But Mike Davis is probably the best player I've ever seen with the worst stroke.
I knew you were going to say that.
He is true. Yeah.
It's amazing how well he plays with that stroke. So it's actually a compliment.
Well, Darren, you didn't come out of the book with Moscone either now, so you ain't got a whole lot to say.
Ah.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, Davis, I tell you what, that was unbelievable. The shot he made. He cut the 9 in the side. It was a dead scratch. There was no way he can make the 9 without scratching. And how that ball hung up, I don't have a clue. And then he wins the last game. That was unbelievable. I tell you, I was happy for him. I was really happy for him.
Was Earl happy? Was Earl happy for him?
I think Earl was happy for him right then. He was. I think at that moment, Earl, he was happy that he was on the team, I believe, because Earl sure didn't want to shoot that shot.
Wow. Johnny, you've played in 17 Moscone Cups, Johnny.
A couple, yep.
You played in, I think Luke. I think we said he played 17 out of 18 Moscone Cups. That's incredible. That is.
Yeah, he was in the Guinness Book of Records, man, aren't you?
Yeah, I tell you, that was funny. You put me in the Book of Records, and
I didn't put you in. They did.
Oh, somebody did. I found out about that from my daughter, from her in school. She, one of her friends said that they seen me in a Guinness book, and she come home and said, "Dad, why didn't you tell me you was in a Guinness book?" I said, "Well, I didn't know." We had to go to the store to get it, and that's how I learned how I was in it. So it's pretty good. That was a cool deal.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the matches, obviously the first match out the traps tonight is the team match. Obviously, you'll know where everybody plays, all 10 players play. And somebody pointed out, I think it was Mike Pinoto yesterday, that it seems to be historically an indicator of who's going to win the tournament. You may know more, your stat man, Darren, whether who wins the team match wins the event ultimately.
Yeah, I think the first few years I did play, we didn't really, especially the first year I played, we didn't really put a lot of thought into the team match. But back then it was a little bit different. We played alternate shot, remember? Where I'd play a shot and then Niels would play a shot, so it was a bit weird. But since they changed it to like you just play your own rack, I think it become a lot more serious. And we realised that it become a massive point. And Johan especially, he always said to us, winning that first point is massive. It just gets the team confidence straight away. And it just gives you a lot of confidence going into the doubles and the singles, knowing you've got a point on the board for your team.
Especially since historically we didn't do really well.
It does seem like 75%. It does seem 75% if you do win the team match, that you do go on and win the cup. What do you think, Johan?
Historically, Europe didn't do well in the team match, so then it became even more important to win it, right? Just to break. So, for example, like 2006, Johnny, when we played in Rotterdam, for us it was the big thing was to break Rodney and Earl in the doubles, because they hadn't lost yet. So as soon as we did that, we knew we're eating their confidence. So that's why we try to set ourselves goals every time to break something that the Americans that are stronger. That's the reason why we had the flag, Darren. They had the flag, right? That was a strong point for them. So we tried to take away a little bit of their strong points and bring it over to us.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed to us like back in the past, we always excelled in the doubles, but not so great in the singles. But it's sort of reversed, let's say, in the last 10 years, where Europe seemed to be stronger in the singles, but not as strong in the doubles, especially the last 2 or 3 years. So I think that's something what Europe's been really working on this year, even though they're not physically together. But I know they've been doing a lot of work on Zoom. That doubles is massive. Because the way I see the doubles, even if you just win 50% of your doubles, you fancy your chances in the singles.
The team play is very important, isn't it? But I think it just goes to show, Johan, that what science you got going on, or what magic you got going on, there must be something to it, because it seems like whichever side you captain, it seems to be a better team spirit. Now, I'm not saying that because I'm in the team. I'm saying that watching it from a distance. Like Darren could get lost in it a little because he's in the team. You understand? He's under that spell. But I'm watching it from outside, whatever it is you telling them, I want to find out what it is, because it's something that must work. It must. Your results are proven, you know. And it's
Yeah.
I see that team spirit.
Johan, on the mental aspect of the game is the best ever, really. I mean, obviously he's ace on, and I'm biased because he's done a lot of good stuff for me personally. But I think Johan, you're a very humble person, but in my opinion, you've probably saved the Moscone Cup twice, because Matchroom brought you in to be the captain of Europe when America was kicking our ass every year, and it was getting to the stage where there was talk about changing things up. So you turned it around for Europe, and then it got to the stage where Europe were like beating America up all the time, and there was talk about bringing Canada in, maybe making it Asia versus Europe. So, and you've saved it again by the Americans to win again. So if Matchroom have like a stadium, let's say, for the Moscone Cup, you should have the statue outside.
Well, thank you, Darren. But as you know, I'm especially a big fan of the Moscone Cup. I'm a big fan of pool, but especially the Moscone Cup. And I think it was very important that I mean, Johnny's been there. At some point, it looked like the Americans just came up to pick up their money in Vegas and do some gambling and just didn't take it seriously. And, as long as it's a fight, as long as it's real competition and everyone is putting his heart in, then it's great, because pool is great, especially as a competition sport. Short races. It's great to watch. It's great to be in there. But I mean, it's especially great for the audience to see it that way. If it's a fight, if Las Vegas 11-2, when we won 11-2, I think 11-3 was easy. But the other way around, in 2004, I think it was 12-1 to America. That's not the things you want to see, right? That's just nothing.
No, it's no fun to see a bully just beating up on someone that don't hit back. There's no. It's not. I'll be honest. I personally, even though I played on Team Europe, I won't lose a wink of sleep if they won or lost. That's the God's honest truth. But I'd love to see it go to the wire and let it go to the last rack, because in the end, it's the culture. It's pool that wins, and everyone gets to see the beauty of our sport. Because it is a sport that can go to the wire and still go any which way. And not many sports have that. If you're if Roger's 2 sets up playing tennis, it's already done. You think that there's no chance there. But pool is the kind of game it can turn. There's so many turning points, and it's a beautiful sport. But I really do hope it goes to that last ball and we get that, we get that brilliance.
Yeah, and the strangest things can happen. Remember 2012, Johnny? I mean, Europe won 11-9, and you played 6 times. You won 6 times. You were the absolute MVP of that tournament. So that's how strange and crazy this tournament is.
Well,
it is.
I mean, Johnny in 2012, for me, he just played unbelievable. To be on the losing team that year, that's got to be a record also, Luke, right? To win 6 out of 6 and be on the losing team.
Wow.
Yeah, gotta be, 100%.
I mean, Johnny, for me, Johnny, you're definitely the best American pool player in the Moscone Cup by a long way.
Agree.
Yeah. I just played the most, but
when I was in the team and Johan was captain, we always said, like, we have to target Johnny. Johnny is the main man. If we can get 50% of the games off Johnny, we probably win the Moscone Cup.
So, Johnny, back in the day when you first started playing in the event, and then we started going to the York Hall, how different was the team approach and the team dynamic that it may be today, the way Johan had done it, and how different was it? Because you had a captain, and you were you always seemed quite together as a team. You were all pro billiard tour players, and you seemed to have that sort of closeness with each other. But how was it really?
Well, it was, the thing is, we were really just 5 or 6. How many was over on the team? We were just 5 or 6 individuals coming together to play for 1 week. We really didn't have much of a plan. I'd like to think we did. It got a little better as we went. We kind of, figured things out a little more, what worked and what didn't, for the week that we were there. But really, the most part, we really were just 5 guys coming together to play for 1 week. And when Johan come along, and he changed things, because it was the same way for Europe at the time. And Europe was really 5 or 6 guys to come together for that week. When Johan come along, you know, he made things different. He turned it into more of a science. He turned it into more of a, you know, a procedure type thing. And, you know, he demanded the respect from the guys, and he got it. And, you know, his results, you know, proves, you know, that it works. And he did the same thing for the last 2 years for America. You know, I thought America the last 2 years, when I looked at the lineups, I said, we don't have a chance. I really did. Everybody asked me, and, you know, I had to eat some crow, you know, on top of that, because, you know, I was interviewed and I said, I really don't think we have a chance. And I said, I don't think Johan's going to make a difference, you know, with that, but he sure did. And my hat's off to him. And, you know, I would love to figure things out like that myself, but he, you know, he had, you know, procedures, and the guys bought into it, and they went into, you know, his way of doing things, and they trusted him. And that was a big deal. You know, it would have been very hard for him to get guys like me and Earl, or even Rodney, maybe a group of us to buy into that and trust it. It would have been very hard for him to get that done. And
sure.
You know, that's just, you know, the way it is. And you know, no disrespect to any of us, or you know, anything like that, or definitely to Johan. It would have just been very difficult to do that, and he did it. So yeah, I think I was, you know, like I said, I was a part of a good many of them, and so the first few years was more of a fun thing for us. I mean, we come over here to win, or I mean, over to London, we played there every time a York call. So it was more, you know, hey, we looked for it, but every year that it went, it got to be more and more important to make the team. And, you know, it was just, you know, it got to be a big rivalry, and the guys enjoyed it so much, and they really just loved the competition. And it got to be, you know, even the year that Steve Davis beat Earl the last match, I mean, that was a big turning point, I believe, for the Moscone Cup, because we had been winning so much, you know, up to that. And then all of a sudden, and Steve Davis supposedly was the, you know, weakest on the team for years, but he got better and better every year. He really did. He got to be really, really tough to beat. And just from what I've seen, it looked like to me he was a great, you know, teammate also, you know, on top of that. So that was, even though it really stunned all of us when he won, because I really didn't believe that he was going to beat her right then, for sure. But he did. And then I just think that it really gave a little bit of new life to the Moscone Cup. And it definitely made it worth watching after that, because, hey, you know, Europe coming one, you know, really being, you know, under a lot of pressure. So it was a lot of fun, and I miss it. I miss being there. I miss being, you know, in the crowd, miss being in a teammate in the room. But, you know, I'm a fan too, just like Johan. And so I'm going to sit here and I'm going to watch, you know, try to watch every ball that I can, you know, this week. So, you know, I do it every year.
I think in the old days, Johnny, I think because you guys were just all the best players in the world, I think you knew you was going to win before you even played.
Well, I think
so I don't think you had to really bond that much or be a team, because you had 5 players who were just world champions, and you was a lot better than Europe at that particular time. So as it evolved, as years went past and Europe got stronger and stronger, I think America sort of lost their way because they didn't have the same team dynamic as Team Europe. And obviously we had Johan, who was like the godfather, really, for the Moscone Cup, and especially Team Europe. I mean, because even people like Mika and Ralph, they didn't have great Moscone Cup records until Johan come on board. And like Niels especially, I mean, Niels has become a Moscone Cup legend under Johan, you know what I mean?
That's true. It's, you know,
Niels, I think Johan, if I'm not wrong, I think Niels were probably like 50% before you arrived at the Moscone, and then since you become the captain, he's probably won like 80% of his games over like a 10-year period.
If you win almost every year, then obviously your percentage will come up. You know, the most important thing is that I think I loved the Moscone Cup, but I still thought it was a little bit of a, you know, like a cowboy shootout.
Yeah.
And the way I look at sports and the way I've entered in sports and seen sports and experienced sports in team events. There's always a plan, there's always preparation, there's always taking care of your players, and I just missed that in pool in general. So I think in general, pool has become more professional, and people prepare better. People know what to train now. They just not just running balls. They actually make some practice, some exercises, and I think that the whole what we just talked about before the transmission, the whole level of pool has increased tremendously.
Well, I mean, if you look at the 5 players on each team, I mean, look at them physically; they're all in good shape. Where if you go back 10, 15 years ago, it wasn't the case, especially me and Johnny.
Take it easy, Darren. Take it easy. You're telling
Johan,
me I'm not.
Johan, why did you retire after winning the last 2 years?
Well,
why retire when you're on a winning run?
Well, I was retiring in 2014. I mean, you were there. I was actually going to retire in 2013, but you kind of convinced me. Yeah, to stay and to have another year.
At that stage, we knew we was going to win. I mean, not been like big-headed, but we was on a roll where America was like dropping, and we was at our peak, let's say.
Yeah.
So I said to you, I think it'd be good. I think it'd be good for you to go out on top in Blackpool, because I think it'd be amazing in Blackpool.
Well, it was a good idea, and it was a good goodbye. But it also, after I think it was like 6 years of winning, the challenge was gone, and it was like a returning circle. I didn't like that, and it was with my left eye was on America already. So 2 years later, I was able to go to America and work with some incredible players, and try to make it a team. Because America always has players playing each other, and especially because of their culture and history of playing for money, they are competing, they are chasing each other's money all year long, especially big players. So, how can you be friends or trying to do the same thing or share your secrets or information once a week, while the rest of the year you're trying to shoot each other in the foot? So, now we try. I mean, the most proud I was on the 2018 Team America was the way they came out, like a real sports team. They really wanted to play serious, to take it serious, and to try to win and to try to play as good as they were able to. And that was what it looked like. That's what I was really proud of.
Yeah. I think America always had a lot of individuals as well, that whereas it might have been hard for them to gel, and maybe there was a clash of personality there sometimes, and it was different. But I think what Johan brought to the team is a lot of humbleness, where he made sure that there was no star, there was no number 1, and there was no number 5. They're all the same, and I think that right there is what helped produce such great performances from Europe, where at one time, they weren't even a factor. I remember watching Steve Knight go out there, and Steve would look at me, be like, "This ain't a team sport, son." You know what I mean? Like, he'd go out knowing he's going to get slaughtered. He'd look at me and go, "It's not a team sport; it's an individual sport, but we do it once a year, Christmas." It was like that was his vibe and his attitude towards it, because he never saw a way of ever winning. But I remember seeing the time I looked at America, and some of my friends on that team, they looked like they couldn't win. So it's funny how the tables truly did turn, and to have a decade run. I mean, you couldn't imagine it happening in the Ryder Cup, could you? Like, to have a decade run on a team is kind of crazy,
Yeah.
But it was easier for America to
maybe like three or 4 years of winning, but I mean, to win like 8, 9 in a row on either team is incredible, really, especially race to 5.
But look where we are now, right? Where are we now? I mean, it's easy to predict. Like you said in the beginning, it looked like Europe is much stronger. If you see the internet and the Facebook posts of Team USA, they seem to bond really well, have a good atmosphere. So it looked like Europe was a big favorite. And now with no audience and they're looking really relaxed. Now, would you do a prediction?
Yeah, I mean, it's a strange one. If you'll have asked me last week, I thought Europe were going to win quite comfortably, like 11-5, 11-6. But I've sort of changed my mind a little bit. The closer it's got, looking at both teams, I think it's going to be closer than what I thought. I think the reason why, because Europe have to win this year. I think they've probably got their best 5 players on paper right now.
Yeah.
So I think they've been very lucky that they could pick the team. America's been quite unlucky with Justin Bergman. But I think with no crowd, I think it sort of helps Corey. I'm not knocking Corey, he's a great player, but the last 4 or 5 years I've watched him in the Moscone Cup, he's looked a little bit shaky with a big crowd. So I think if he can relax, I mean, what a great player when he's relaxed. You know, I mean, his cue ball's amazing. So I think it's pretty closer than what the European guys think. Let's say.
Well, I think it's well, like you said, it's very important that Europe wins because, of course, Matthew made some strategical choices this year. So they got rid of me or didn't hire me anymore. They got rid of Mark Shamat and they made Europe handpick their team. So, you know.
But they handpicked the team because there wasn't really any pool to judge players on in the year.
Yeah, true. Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
still. Did you retire or did you just not get the job?
I didn't get the job, but that's okay. That's okay.
Interesting.
That happens in the game, you know.
Yeah, true.
That's
Johan,
the beautiful part of this
a
game.
serious question here, Johan.
Sorry?
What is the best team you've had?
The best team I've had, 2010.
Right, yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah. That was
probably my favourite Moscone Cup, but obviously I'm very biased.
No, I mean, that team was so focused. Remember the preparation on that team? We had like a week and everything was spot on. Everything was intense. There was enough relaxation at the moment it mattered. It was absolutely perfect balanced. So 2010 was absolutely.
You now, I think Luke will agree, and Johnny and Raj. I think obviously Raj lives in London, but I mean, I've played in all these venues. I've played at Alexandra Palace with 2,500 people, but I tell you that 600 people at York Hall is just on a different level in my opinion. That York Hall, there's just something about that place. It's just incredible.
Darren, what about the battle where Team India plays you guys, and you roll in and feel like you're not even at home, mate? That's the beauty of London. London has a different energy that can't be explained. And your call's iconic.
Yeah, it's amazing. What a venue that is. I mean, that for me is by far my favourite venue in pool. And it's falling down. You know what I mean? It's falling down, but it's just got a weird atmosphere.
Well, I think you got 600 people in there, but it was a really tiny venue. So if you were in the upstairs,
it felt like 6,000.
If you were in the upstairs and you leant over the railing, you could virtually look down at the tops of the players' heads.
Drink. Yeah.
It was a fun when it got full up. It was fantastic. But obviously, like all these things, you know, in a good way, the event outgrows the venue, and now it's
just outgrown it. Yeah.
Galley Pally with
my two favourite Moscone Cups is 2010 and 2012, just because they were really close, but the atmosphere was just incredible.
They were, yeah. I mean, a lot of those ones when Johnny was dominant in back in the day. I know America won year after year after year, but some of the matches were close-ish, I think. So it wasn't.
I think there was all close. When I've been looking back on the history, I mean, even the 2005 one, Raj, you guys were like about 8-8, and then you lost the last 5 matches. You lost the last 5 matches, and you lost 4 of them ill-hill.
Yeah, that's right. I remember.
13-8.
Listen, it was bad, man. But here's pressure for you. Alex Lely goes out and misses ball in hand. That's pressure. What I'm saying is,
every day. He played doubles with you every day.
Hey, say that again.
He played doubles with you every day. I think it was a time where you could just play with the same partner all the time.
Yeah, that was the way it was.
Yeah. Low on confidence at that time. I remember this year, like clearly. And I said, look, I want to play with him then. Look, my speed and tempo might help get him out of that rut, because he was really, and then you know what he did? To get out of the rut, he thought, oh yeah, I'll just go with Niels and go for a run. Well, Niels ran round like the whole world and back twice, and next thing you know, you see his legs don't work. And I'm like, like, I ain't signed up for this. You know what I mean? It's like, stop. You're not supposed to go running with him. He's not the guy for that. Yeah, he don't stop running when he starts. So, but it was hard, you know. It was tough.
I'll tell you what, it's a little bit of a surprise though, because I think you and Alex should have played in more Moscone Cups, really.
Yeah, well, I went to, it was a strategic move as well as anything, to represent my motherland and try to, look, Matchroom welcomed the move. IPT, I thought we're going to open this game up to a market in India, and then, you know, I got to walk forward, and, you know, because the UK's got many great talent that came after me, like yourself. You know, many guys came through, straight shooters, Melling. There's no lack of talent here. There's nobody in India. And I thought, well, you know, I got the keys to a place that's got all the money in the world, but promoters just don't listen, do they? They don't. When I talk, they're like, oh, he's crazy, this guy. So I quit talking. I've gone away. I put it together. So I've got to show you guys. You know, that's what it is.
Well, I'll tell you a good story about talking about running. Charlie Williams was the captain when we were in Vegas. He was a captain when we had Sean Putnam and Shane. I think Corey might have been on there. I can't remember exactly the team, but Charlie Williams was, he had made this deal where we were going to all exercise together as a team. And I said, oh Lord, this is a bad idea. I mean, really, you look at Sean Putnam, he just doesn't look like a big, you know, physical specimen, you know, and I mean, so we decided to go out and play tennis, and we go out to the tennis court, and it was a little cold because it was in Vegas in December. So we go out there, and after about 15 minutes, I look over there, and there was 2 or 3 of us that were just, we couldn't get up after 15 minutes. So then we said, okay, this is a bad idea. Let's go try something else. So we go back to the hotel, and that night, Charlie said, okay, we're going to go to the hotel. I'm going to come up with something for us to do at the hotel. So he decided for us to run, okay? We couldn't run outside, so he decided for us to run up in the hallway in front of our hotel rooms. So just back and forth, back and forth. And after about 3 times, Putnam fell down and couldn't get up. And we thought he was dying. And we were laughing so hard. I think Rodney was there. We was laughing so hard. It was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And Putnam said, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm just withdraw from the team because I can't do it. We need. And so anyway, as far as that running thing, that didn't work for us. So I don't know about you guys, but Niels might have got you guys to do it.
Not for me.
Well, you brought that in, Johan, didn't you? That sort of team bonding and doing activity with the team during the week of the event.
Yeah, but you know, you got to remember it's only added value, right? Because first of all, every player has to be at its top shape, has to play like, you know, like he's a world champion. And then, you know, what I like to say, there's no I in team, but that's bullshit. There's 5 or 6 eyes in the team, and you just got to make sure that all these eyes are pointing in the right direction. Right, okay. Everyone is doing the same and having the same goal and the same targets and the same preparation. So that's what we did. But first of all, you know, now again, America's bonding great, but what if they're 4-1 down and everybody starts missing balls on the first day? Let's see how much they're bonding. And the same with Team Europe. Right. In the end, it's all about making balls, because that's what you're here for. If you don't make balls, you're not my friend anymore.
That's right.
It's as easy as that.
I agree. Yeah, well, some of our best cups I've played on. Some of our best cups I played on was back when Jim Rempe and Kim Davenport. We had a lot of individuals, but the guys knew how to win. They could get up and pull the trigger, and they brought the individual aspect to it into the team room and into the event. And even though we were all individuals, because you had Earl and you had Nick and myself and you know, Rempe and all, but like I said, from 1 to 5, we were stacked. And I mean, it didn't matter who was out there, whether it was Jim Rempe, myself, you know, it didn't matter. Every player really thought that the other one was going to win, no matter we're playing doubles or singles. And I always said that the Americans, the last probably 10 years, my guess is that the 4 and 5 guy whoever that may be. You know, you're going to have 1 through 5. You're going to have your top guys, and then you're going to have the 4 and 5 guy. But the 4 and 5 guy really has to show up. And I knew for us, we had we couldn't make any mistakes whatsoever for us to win. Europe was so stacked. You know, when you had you and Mika and just Niels and keep on and on. But you guys from 1 to 5, man, every time we looked and we're like, it doesn't matter who we have to play, man. This is going to be a nightmare. And I mean, then you look at guys like when we had Brandon Schuff and we had Mike DeShane, and you know, they fought hard as they could, but they just didn't perform as a 4 and 5 guy. And we had to have it, and that made a big difference. I just got fortunate that year. I won so many close matches, you know, in 2012, but I could have lost half of my matches easy, you know, because I won heel probably 4 or 5 times, whatever it was. But
Yeah,
and that
match
was
with Nick Vandenberg.
yes, that was a big match, and yeah, that was the match where I was screaming at the crowd and pointing fingers and all that goofy mess. Yeah, but you know, it's just like I said, the number 4 and 5 guy really has to step up, and you know, especially for us. And you know, this is going to be, and I think the last 2 years, Johan really was able to get Tyler and you know, Billy, whoever's a 4 and 5 guys, they stood up. Tyler, I thought stood up pretty good, definitely in 2018. Yeah. And yes, he didn't have near as good of an event last year, but he still won 1 or 2 doubles matches that, you know, that, like I said, it made the difference, and that made it to where America win. And you know, it's going to be the same this year. Chris Robinson is going to step into that number 5 role. And if he doesn't perform, you know, and doesn't figure out how to win a couple matches here and there, I think USA's got a hard road. I just believe so. I look over, you know, I kind of look over at Europe's side, and you got Fedor, who's supposedly the number 5 guy, and he's the world champion. I mean, there you go, right there. You know, I think Fedor is gonna, you know, he's gonna step into this role. I think he's gonna do very well, I believe. And you know, and him being my twin son, it's okay. That works out too.
And he looks like you. He looked like a young Johnny Ghost.
Yeah.
Anyway, look.
Yeah, it's
So
I think a big factor is Europe could probably put up 2 free teams. That's the truth. Yeah. Whereas I think America, they can only put up 1 team. They can't put up 2 teams to compete. They can put 1 team up, but
that's right.
Europe got that much talent. They could put 2 teams up. No disrespect, you know. I mean, we all learned the game from America, but the truth is, you know, things have evolved where Europe have just got a database of players they could put forward now. You know.
Yeah, but Raj,
how you like a B team showing up?
No, yeah, well, I mean, in the end, it's only 5 against 5, right? So we don't need to talk about the number 17 team. Right. The only thing that is actually what it says is that with the amount of players that we have in Europe and the amount of players that are in America, that there's something really wrong with their system. Because just the number of players should tell me that America should be dominant for the rest of like the next 50 years.
What's wrong then? What's wrong? Why is there no? The truth is, I don't think anybody's really putting the time and effort in to play pool, because you've only got to Google what a pool player earns, and that's like, well, I ain't doing that then, am I? I'm going to go work down the local shop.
There's a couple of things. There's a couple of things that are. There's a couple of things that are very well strange in America, in our European eyes. First of all, when you're playing 3 months of pool, you can become a professional pool player. Because I'm going to play 1 pocket against a guy, and I get like a 17-2 odds, right? So now suddenly I only have to make 2 balls, and I can earn $500 on a night. Okay. So that doesn't really ignite my ambition to become a better player. And then the same in the leagues. In the leagues, they have these levels, and together the team can have a certain number. And if you're a number 2, like a real low level player, quality wise, you can still go to the finals in Vegas. So if you're playing like for half a year, you can't make 2 balls in a row, you can still get to the finals. in America. So these are things that don't give a real spark and a real ignition for progress and for ambition. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of guys that I've seen playing, younger guys also, that play a lot of hours and they make a lot of hours. But it's just the information is not there and the incentive is not there. So we've taken a different approach to pool. We've seen it as a sport. Now in Holland we had this Olympic support from the Olympic movement. And there was 22 sports in my time. There was 22 sports that got Olympic support, like a lot of money for their structure, their athletes, their trainers, their facilities. And there was 21 of them were Olympic sports. Only one sport did get all the support. There was no Olympic. That was pool. So that's how we saw it. We tried to get it into the Olympic movement as a real sport. So we had official trainers, a trainer for youth, etc. So that's the way that we went. America in 1990, when I saw them play first, there was 8 guys on the World Championships coming from America. The first 8 players were Americans. We were nothing. So we had to take a different approach. America had all the champions, got a little bit of complacency, and then suddenly it just, the balance shifted. So now I think America needs to catch up.
Well, listen, we've got probably not long now to the start of the Moscone Cup 2020. We talked about the team match. The second match is Van Boning and Jewel versus Filler and Gorst, which I kind of like both of those pairings. I think they look quite decent.
Yeah, explosive start.
Well,
yeah, I'm a little bit surprised though, Johan. I thought he would have gone with Shane and Chris Robinson and play Corey in the singles, the first singles. So I was a little bit surprised with that.
Yeah, me too. But I mean, that's the road that he chose.
Yeah.
He chose for experience in the beginning. They tried to make sure that they anchor the first point, and then Chris can play with a little bit less pressure probably. And then they have the Hillbilly boys, Billy and Skylar second team. So it seems like a good matchup for America.
The first one, day. The first.
Yeah.
You like Corey and Shane over Filler and Fido?
No, but it's still a good day for them.
Yeah, but what I will say, having studied the team sheet and seeing what happened last year, the amount of games what players play has changed big time. Where obviously Shane and Skylar will play 13 matches between them, 13 games between them. Where Corey and Chris, they'll probably just play 4 games each, 2 singles, 2 doubles, and then the third play will play 2 singles and 3 doubles. So backing for so this is where I've never really liked the MVP, to be honest, because it doesn't really show a true reflection, because not everyone's playing on the same level playing field, and obviously it's the same for Team Europe. Like Filler could potentially play 4 singles and 3 doubles, and Albin will probably play 2 singles and 4 doubles, where the rest of the guys will just play two singles and 2 doubles. So it's impossible for those guys to win the MVP.
Yeah, well, that's a good point. The first singles match is debutant Chris Robinson against Mr. Clenty Catchy. How do you see that going?
Robinson. I think he's going to come out and say it's a freebie, isn't it? It's like he's had the best appetizer to the Moscone Cup. I think he's going to come out freewheeling all tournament, having the most fanciest practice session ever. I think that kid's going to play perfect, because what a way to come into the Moscone Cup and get that ultimate warm-up. I'll be honest, I think you're supposed to bet on America right now, because everything just fell into their favour. I think
it's weird. Like, if it's like I said before, if you'd have asked me last week how it really was all Europe, but I've sort of like got a bit closer. I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, oh, it's actually quite dodgy. This is, and I like his there. I think I think Chris has been very underrated coming into this Moscone Cup. And like you say, I don't think there's anything to lose. And everyone's expecting Katchi to win this match, so that adds more pressure in itself.
It does.
That's a problem.
I agree with Darren. I think the team match is going to be, that could go either way with the team match because it's first off, and any team could win. I actually like. I'm gonna go against. I like Corey and Shane to win the second match because the actual. The second match of the event. But I like them to beat Fedor and is it Fedor and Filler? I think.
Yeah.
So I just believe so. I think just because Shane and Corey's played so much partners together, Corey plays much better in the doubles than he does in the singles. I believe I thought it was a pretty good move putting Chris out. He's so used to playing singles. I think he was trying to stick him, early. I think putting him out early is probably a pretty good idea because he has to play a singles, and if it's much better for him to come out and have less pressure on him when it's 2-0 or 2-1, whatever the case is, as opposed to 5-5 or 6-6 later when the event's going. There's a lot more pressure back there. And I think Chris is going to do pretty well. I think Katchi still needs to prove, he's been on a losing team or anything like that. So, it's going to be, I think there's a chance that you're going to see America up 3-0 after the first three matches. I think there's a chance for
who do we all like in the team match? Who do we like in the team match? I like Team Europe in the very first match. I think Europe.
I think so too. I think Europe's a favorite there for sure.
We'll get the 1-0. What do you think, Raj, in the team match?
No, that's a tough one, that one there, because it's just it takes one person to scratch somewhere and the whole thing swings real quick. It's like to scratch off the break, and it. I really think that first one's a coin flip, and if somebody's got the edge, they only got like 52 on 48. That's it. They haven't got more than that. Yeah. It's so close. Maybe Europe might have more experience in team stuff like that than these guys. I'm guessing they could possibly have a small advantage there. But then again, they can all go out the window.
I'm saying it's because I know that they'll probably go with Filler, Albin, and Jason, the first three guys. Where I think America will go Shane, Skylar, and Billy. So I just think our three guys are stronger than their three guys.
Europe got the stronger, but
I probably disagree.
It's so close, isn't it? So close.
But I do agree. I do like Corey and Shane over Filler and Fedor in the first doubles.
Are you out of your mind?
Huh?
Are you out of your mind?
No, I've got a feeling that Corey and Shane's...
These are two world champions, my man.
It doesn't matter. It's a two-horse race, Johan. It's not.
Yeah, but I mean...
You have a rookie in there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to be honest, if you look at the first lineup for day one, it looks like this is Europe's worst day. So you put a Filler and Gorst together. So a very extrovert guy and a very introvert guy. The show guy with a very, easy guy. The same in the second doubles, Shaw and Ushin. So Shaw is the show guy and Ushin is a very relaxed and introvert guy. So doubles wise, these are actually the worst day looking from outside. I don't know how they paired up, how they bonded, how they worked together, but looking from the outside, it seems like the worst day for Europe doubles wise.
Yeah, I think Europe are really good at really gearing up for day three. I think the end of day two and day three is going to, in my opinion, it's going to decide the Moscone Cup. Because day three, if you really study the team sheet, it's going to be like crazy. It's going to be Shane against Filler. It's going to be Shane and Skylar in the doubles against Albin and Filler. It's going to be Albin against Skylar, Jason against Shane. So like day three is going to be amazing. And I think Europe have learnt their lesson from missing that loophole last year.
Well, the fourth match is the the second doubles. We got the old Dukes of Hazzard, Thorpe and Woodward against Aylsham.
Mullet. Team Mullet.
No, I like the Dukes of Hazzard.
I like it. Listen, I have to salute. I have to salute the uniqueness. I'm all for it, man. Let them boys express themselves. It's a beautiful thing.
I agree.
You know?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
Well, I do like Filler and Shaw in that match.
What a combination.
No, it's thingy. Sorry, it's
Albin.
Shaw and Albin. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Shaw and Albin against Thorpe and Schuyler, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's right.
I think you better watch out for the Dukes of Hazzard, boys. I tell you what, them guys there. I know one thing when I was playing, when Mika would pair up against, I don't know, he might put him up against with Ralph or something, or somebody emotional. They were always hard to look at. I mean, they could get things going and just next thing you know, you don't want to be in the arena. You just feel so alone out there. And I think Billy and Schuyler, I think that no crowd is going to hurt them probably more than anybody, them two, just because they feed so much off of each other. They're great together. They're good friends. And now, of course they can, they got the same haircuts now that,
no haircut.
Looks all that, well, you know what? You look at Darren and Johan there, y'all got the same haircuts too. Oh, y'all just don't have any hair. That's what it's okay.
Oh,
very good.
Thank you.
But
Still working on it.
Hey, I'm with you guys, man. I ain't got much hair either anymore. But anyway, and I just think that the crowd really played into Schuyler and Billy's hands, because they feed off of that, and they feed off each other. And so this is going to be interesting, but they can they can put heat on you, them two guys.
Yeah.
And so I think that's going to be the deal for America. If Schuyler and Billy can really pump the team and keep them going. I think Chris is so easygoing. I've known him. I've been around him a little bit. He's a great player. He's very, very smart-minded. I'm talking about his mindset, mind for pool. He's well above a lot of people, when it comes to that. So, he is, and and he can play. And so I think putting him with Shane is going to be important. I think, far as the doubles, I think Chris needs to be with Shane, I believe, when it comes to that. This is going to be, I think this first day is going to be really interesting. I'm kind of anxious to see. I think America needs to come out and win the first day pretty convincingly. I think for me, my view is for them to win. I think America needs to come out today, especially the second half of the first half of tomorrow. Also,
let's assume that it goes 2-2, and you got the final match of the afternoon or evening, which is a singles match between Shane Van Doning and Albin Aylsham. How do you see that one going? Because that's.
Well, I was a little bit surprised with both picks. I thought it would have been Jason Shaw and Billy Thorpe, to be honest. So a little bit surprised for me. Especially America, because it sort of messes America's team up for like later in the tournament.
Right.
If you really study the sheet like I have, it will sort of hinder Shane a little bit on day 3 with how much he can play. So I do like Shane against Albin. So I think it's going to be 3-2 to Europe. But it could easily be 3-2 to America. But a little bit surprised with Albin against Shane, but I would have to pick Shane.
Johnny?
Myself, that'd be the same. I'd say the same thing. If I was putting the lineups out, I would have saved Shane for sure. I was always one, when I viewed putting out lineups, I was always trying to say, who could I put up, in a situation that may come after a loss. And I definitely didn't want guys like Mike DeShane or Brandon coming after a loss when I was putting guys out, because I just said there's so much pressure out there, and it's just it's just not a good thing for that. So I tried to look at down, and I know we say, okay, well, you're not trying to win right now. Well, I'm trying to look at, because it's a long event, it's a horse race, and so it's a long event, and I always try to save some of the guys and try to pair up certain ones together that could pump up the other guy. I like putting the new guys as teammates. I like to put them into the doubles, and I thought that was a good idea. And yeah, I'm like Darren. I'm a little surprised to see Shane coming out in the singles to start with, because he's not going to be able to play another singles till everybody plays a singles, and that's going to be.
He's going to play the fans' choice.
Fans' choice, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to play the fans' choice.
Oh, is it? Oh, is that what it is? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So he'll play a fans' choice.
First singles a day, 2 is fans' choice.
Well, I mean, that's a
Shane might play 2 singles in a row.
Assuming they pick Shane, they probably going to pick Filler and Shane, maybe, or who knows? They might pick Filler and Skyler.
Yeah, well, I think Shane, because he's got such a big fan base, it's very hard to see him not getting the pick.
Yeah, you would think so.
In my opinion. I think
if I remember,
both Filler and Shane.
If I remember correctly from last year, I mean, you can play Shane on the 5th match. You can play Shane on the fence choice, which of course, obviously, is not your choice. It's not dependent on the fence. But you can also put him in day 3. In this, there's a loose block, so you can actually, you can actually play him 3 times in the first 3 days. So
yeah, and Shane can play 4 singles also, right?
Yeah, on the last day, yeah.
The only thing I don't like with day 3, with Shane playing on the first day, is that if Shane plays singles on day 3,
he doesn't have to play doubles.
That Billy would have to play with Chris in the doubles. Where I think they'd be best letting Skyler play the extra singles and playing Shane with Chris in the doubles instead. So maybe that's their plan, is to maybe give Skyler the extra singles over Shane, because Skyler's been the MVP the last 2 years.
I think that could definitely be a good choice.
For America.
Yeah, I think that could definitely be a good choice.
It's important that I think it's really important that Chris plays doubles with Shane. I mean, not even if he loses, it's just a great experience for him. You know what I mean?
It is.
Aaron, I was going to say, I think it's a little unfair that not everyone has to play the same sort of amount. Obviously, give or take a match, but that's a flawed system.
What's happened
is what I'm trying to say. I mean, fans' choice, really? Come on.
Yeah, in the past, though, Raj, one guy from each team played 1 extra game, and that was always usually me and Shane, right? Johan, it'd be probably me and
you and Shane.
Yeah. So what's happened now with the fans' choice? It sort of messed it all up, and I think when they brought in the fans' choice, I don't think they realised how much it messed it all up. So now there's a couple of loopholes there. There's a couple of loopholes there where you can pick players who's already played, let's say, in certain sections of the format. So I think it's definitely helped America, in my opinion. So maybe that was the plan behind it. But it's a bit unfair for the players like Fedor and Chris, who might only play 3 matches in the All Moscone Cup. They're guaranteed to play 1 singles, and they're guaranteed to play 2 doubles, and that's all they're guaranteed.
Well, I'm conscious. I'm conscious that we get, even though the time's flown, that we're getting towards the end of our time here. So I'm going to go around the board, and I want to ask each player what they think the score will be, close to play today, and who they think will be MVP come Friday evening. Start with Darren.
Yeah, I think Europe will be leading 3-2. And I think Joshua Filler will be the MVP.
Johan?
Ooh, I'm going to lose a lot of friends with my predictions.
First of all, which team do you want to win this year?
Well, I don't want anything. I just want the Moscone to be great. But obviously, I'm still working with Federer. So, my heart goes out to Federer. I hope he plays really good. Albin, I've worked with Albin last year, so I want him to play great.
Europe to win.
Stop ducking the question.
Okay, so my prediction after day 1 is probably 4-1 to Europe.
And your MVP at the end of the week?
Federer.
Okay. Johnny?
I think after first day, 3-2 America.
Yeah.
I just think that I think America, and of
True,
course I'm
Johnny.
biased, but I think there's a chance they can be 3-2 here, and I actually believe Shane's going to be MVP
For the first time.
That will be something.
for the first time. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And
I actually believe
Raj.
he was the best player last year, in my opinion.
Raj.
First of all, I think Johnny's got some sort of a saver with Shane. He got no chance of being the MVP. That guy is boning when he gets out in the Moscone Cup arena, and that's a true fact. He's an awesome talent, and he's phenomenal. But Shane is really not as spectacular when the referee racks the balls, and it's a game that's played 9 ball as opposed to 10 ball. And he'd beat anybody in the world, race the 500 and all of that. But nah, Shane, he ain't gonna get it. I think Europe still got that edge. I could see them going 3-2. And with the fans' choice, Filler can't lose the MVP because they're gonna throw him in every time. But if there was no players' choice or fans' choice, that MVP might be open to everybody.
Yeah, I would have picked Albin if it was open. I would have picked Albin to be the MVP.
Yeah. I
With the extra
could have
matches
agreed with
and
that.
them extra singles, it's hard to not go against Filler. But
Now, I got one
Shane
question.
Played better though. Shane has played better the last 2 years, though.
He has, yeah.
In the Moscow. His
I got
record's
one
pretty good
question.
in the last 2 years.
Why didn't Niels get put on this year? What does anybody know? Because I think Niels, Europe hurts by Niels not being there. Why wasn't Niels put on this year?
The main thing is because he hasn't performed to his level the last 2 years. He struggled, especially last year, I would say. So I think Albin not getting picked last year was a big mistake in my eyes. So this year, I think they just went to go. They wanted to go with youth, like a younger team, and
exactly
guys what are in stroke or in form. So I think they picked the right team. Me personally.
Well, do you realize that Team Europe has an average age of 25, and Team America has an average of almost 31 years of age?
These two teams must be the youngest teams ever, right?
Well, especially
in the old days, 31 would have been a young team, but
exactly.
So we're going to sign off now, but I'm going to go around again. You got one last word from you, Darren.
Yeah, just really looking forward to the event. Like I say, it's not going to be the same without a crowd. Let's not kid ourselves, but at least it's something great to watch. We get to see it live, so really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And just try and enjoy the week, and hopefully all the fans enjoy it.
Johan.
And thanks to Johan, Johnny, and Raj for coming on.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's been a great pleasure to be with such great champions. So thank you guys. I'm really looking forward to the Moscone Cup because after 1 year of, well, even without audience, but even 1 year without pool, it's been a real heavy year.
I'm just happy that you're supporting Europe again.
Well, I'm supporting the cup, but if you realistically look at the lineups, I think Europe is the big favorite. They're bringing 4 world champions, my man.
Johnny, last word from you, man.
Well, I agree with everybody else. I appreciate being here. Thanks to Johan and Raj and Darren and yourself, Luke. I think my opinion is you not being involved with the Moscone Cup is there's a hole in there. My opinion.
I think
but
it's a great man without me. Don't worry.
I hear you, but no, I'm like Darren. Is for sure it's not going to be the same without the crowd. The crowd's what makes the event. But I think we're going to get to watch and key on more of the players because people watching is not going to have the distraction of watching the crowd either. So we're going to get to see more of the players and their personalities and how they handle things because we're going to be keying on certain things. So
they're going to be naked.
Yeah, well, yeah, probably so. But and it's going to be fun. I'm excited to see. Of course, I'm biased with America. I thought last 2 years America wasn't going to win. Johan brought them through, and the American team brought them through with the fans. I think this year, when I look at it, I think America has a chance. When I look at it right now with the lineups, I know you have all the world champions, like you said, But you know, that once you get up there in the Moscone Cup, that kind of goes out the window, you know. But you know, it's going to be exciting. I'm going to be sitting here watching with my girlfriend, so we'll sit here and enjoy ourselves, and you know, no pressure on us. We sit here and eat a piece of pizza and drink a Mountain Dew, and we're all good to go.
Mountain Dew.
Oh, girl.
Right. Thank you very much,
girl.
fellas. We've enjoyed your company, and I'm sure the fans like listening to your
Raj.
insights. And
You forgot about Raj.
Raj, yeah, Raj got to say something.
well,
Don't
come
forget
on,
about
Raj.
Raj.
You got
No, listen, I just wanted to say it's good to see you all again, and
Yeah.
I hope we get to do it again in a minute. But the truth is, listen, we all miss Paul. We all miss watching some good action on TV and watching the pressure and watching the guys get out and play a good shot and dog it. You know, that's the beauty of the sport. But look, hopefully we get a bit more Paul on TV. You know, so.
okay.
good.
Well, thank you everyone for joining in with us. It's been great fun and very informative. And yeah, it's been awesome. And the play starts in, I think, 40 minutes or so, 50 minutes.
Time for coffee.
Just about, yeah. And we're going to be back tomorrow. We're going to be back tomorrow. Myself and Darren will be back tomorrow at 4:45. And our guests will be, let's have a look, Nick Vandenberg, who's got a great track record in the Moscone Cup.
Same haircut.
Rocket Rodney Morris. And last year's European captain, Marcus Shamat. So we will see you all at 4:45 on Wednesday afternoon.
Cheers, guys.
Enjoy, guys. Cheers.
Fellas.
Fellas.